Everything everywhere all at once. Beau is afraid. It's all connected. Come on, come with me. Let's talk outside. Hello, my name is Gabe, kind of like the angel, but please don't shoot the messenger. I give myself the challenge to upload every day for 100 days straight. Today is day 51. We are filming this outside because my parents are still sleeping, so I hope that explains that. A whole 47 days ago, I knew this video would have some type of significance. 47 days ago, I wanted to pick apart the classical dyad of two types of narrative. Essentially, there are always two types of stories. There's a man goes on a journey, or a stranger comes to town. I don't remember exactly where I read it, other than I read it from someone on Tumblr like years ago, but I didn't like how constricting that was as a narrative concept, or I didn't like how I thought how constricting that was as a narrative concept. There is no better example of this classic dyad than Beau is Afraid and Everything Everywhere All at Once. Okay, for future reference, I'm going to be calling Everything Everywhere All at Once Woman Does Taxes, because the cluster of non-plosive consonants and vowels is pissing me off so bad. I keep trying to say everything everywhere all at once. Oh, it's just not happening. I keep saying everywhere all at once, and it's not happening. I'm so sorry. So EEAAO is going to be referred to as Woman Does Taxes. I hope you can understand. Okay, so the classical dyad takes advantage of the outgoing of information versus the incoming of information. A man goes out on a journey, or a new girl comes into town. Both of these movies take radically opposed perspectives on what is essentially the Odyssey. The word Odyssey, as I'm using it in this video, is a type of grand narrative that covers a little bit of everything, something that is so big that it defies genre simply because of its size. Because these movies are so damn gargantuan, it's really hard to talk about what's happening in either movie without majorly abstracting or chunking down big plot points or big narrative structures within the movies themselves. So that's kind of what I'm doing here in my implementation of the concept of the Odyssey. In a way, Beau is Afraid is kind of like a dark mirror on Woman Does Taxes. With Woman Does Taxes, we have a woman taking her child. And with Beau is Afraid, we have a child begrudgingly being pushed back towards his mother. Even the names of the children are encapsulations of each movie's grand thesis. I mean, the pursuit of happiness and joy, literally the main character pursuing joy, whereas Beau is Afraid is beauty being constrained back. Beauty succumbing to fear. Like, oh my god, these movies are so good. By the end of each movie, we see new radical perspectives on each mother. They are both deified, but in polar opposite ways. Whereas with Woman Does Taxes, we see someone who is benefic, compassionate, kind, empathetic, understanding. But with Beau is Afraid, we have a mother who is malicious, malignant even. Thinking of these two goddess-adjacent mothers reminds me of this story that I encountered a couple years ago, The Goddess of Everything Else. The Goddess of Everything Else is a parable written by Scott Alexander, detailing the fall of a goddess of Cancer and the rise to power of a goddess of everything else. Scott Alexander frames the goddess of Cancer as a natural part of life, wherein things are naturally malignant and evil. Killing, consuming, multiplying, conquering, stuff like that. It's just a repeated, natural-born mantra in life, where life is just considered naturally evil through the framing of this story. Whereas the goddess of everything else is tricky. She's newer, sprier, she's constantly changing. She tricks life into being more empathetic, more compassionate, more playful even, more communal in essence. Cancer in this story is essentially framed as a natural-born evil that is surmounted and even defeated through mercurial pursuits. It's a Mr. Alexander takes this mythological approach to an ecological principle. Pro-social behavior benefits more people than antisocial behavior does. These goddesses are isomorphic to each mother in their respective movie. Evelyn, Joy's mother, is the goddess of everything else, and Beau's mother is the goddess of Cancer. The goddess of Cancer. Wait a minute. Wait. So what does that make Beau? Wait. What does that make Beau? Wait. Blah. Congratulations to making it to the thesis of this video. I theorize that the meaning of Beau is Afraid is that Beau is a cancerous growth himself. In a story like The Goddess of Everything Else, Scott Alexander creates this immediate opposition to something like cancer. Cancer is seen as a natural evil to be surmounted mercurially. But when we think of cancer as simply like a life simply as a thing that tries to grow and doesn't understand why the thing that it's doing is evil, we have what is essentially a story like Beau is Afraid. The entire movie, the odyssey, the Beau's journey, all of it is just the hallucination of a brain tumor trying to survive chemo radiation and surgery after surgery. The tumor knows things because it's made of brain cells, it's in the brain, but because it's not a whole brain in and of itself, it doesn't have a whole picture. It doesn't understand why it's being attacked. It's just a thing that is afraid and trying to stay alive in its mother, its host. The brain tumor is hallucinating its existence into being through the memories of a real person. It's trying to harvest experiences from the host that it's living off of. That's why we see a city in the beginning of the movie. That's why we see memories that a person couldn't possibly have, that the brain tumor has access to, like being born. That's why we see suburbia horrifyingly fused with what feels like medical technology, a nurse and a doctor, but also a mother and a father, a daughter mourning the loss of her brother, but it's also someone who's suffering ailment as well. And there's also another, like a lot of the dream logic can be explained by a brain tumor just trying to piece together from the information that it has what it is. Beau thinks that it's a man trying to live a life, but it can't because it's not. It's just a brain tumor. Beau is described in the movie as a genetic anomaly, which is interesting. He's told that if he ever tries to reproduce, he'll die. You know, because whenever a cancer cell tries to reproduce or grow too much, it'll inadvertently kill its host and thus itself. Cancer can also be passed down genetically. There's an interesting conversation that the mother has to Beau when he's a kid, that the mother says, "You're like genetically doomed. Your father doomed you." Isn't that... Hold on. Did the father die of cancer as well? This also brings new context to the trial at the end of the movie. What we're seeing is a brain tumor sensing internally that it is dying, and yet it's not fair. The tumor didn't do anything wrong, it's just growing as it was told to. It just is doing what its genes dictated it should. Unfettered, unlimited growth isn't inherently evil. It just is what it is. It's not trying to conquer anything, it's just trying to live. Beau is just trying to live. And Beau is afraid because it's being killed. It is being killed. The tumor is being killed. So there you have it. 2 of everybody's favorite movies about motherhood. The first movie, a mother with schizophrenia saving her daughter from depression. And the second movie, a story of a brain tumor trying and failing to survive in a hostile environment. Its mother. Thank you so much for consuming this video at the rapid pace that you consumed it at. Check in with me tomorrow where I will be discovering that this YouTube channel was actually just the hallucination of a brain tumor all along. Ooh.